Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of the Comms Lab by Ecomcy, the place of everything related to Amazon FBA and e-commerce. My name is Vincenzo Toscano, founder and CEO of Ecomcy, and today we come back with another session of questions and answers, which is basically the session where we basically open the table for you to ask any questions, discuss any topic you may want to have concern around your business. And we also try to talk about upcoming trends in the market, news in the space, and just to be as informative as possible as we try to do every Tuesday at 5 p.m. GMT time. For everybody turning for the first time, these sessions are weekly. So every Tuesday at 5 p.m. GMT time, you're going to be able to jump into the sessions. However, because we know we have audiences from all around the globe, if you cannot join these sessions, you can leave your question either down in the comments or send it to our email as most people at business@ecomcy.com, and we'll make sure to bring them into the episode, and then you can review them because these episodes actually are recorded and then basically save on YouTube, social media channels. We even do specific snips of these sessions I put in social media for people that maybe don't have 30, 25 minutes and they just need 1 minute for finding an answer. So very useful stuff. Now, let's get started first with a couple of things I have started to see between this week, especially around the inventory space. So we have seen across some of our clients and people reaching out to me as well that they're having some issues when it comes to inventory. Basically, Amazon sliding their inventory limits around 20% on average. So we are seeing this across the board with a lot of people. And we believe that the reason why Amazon is doing this is, first of all, because usually Q4, they get very strict with inventory. They want to make sure that they have only the things that actually sell, because of course they want to make money. Then the second thing is also because it seems like they're having some issues with warehousing based on some of the research I have done. So if you are seeing this decrease in limits, don't get too alarmed, because we're seeing actually this across multiple people. I would just advise to start exploring some 3PL options, because this thing can get even worse once inside a Q4. So get some precaution, because last thing you want to do is that your sales are doing great and then you don't have basically a space to send more inventory because you have enough inventory within Amazon already. So you want to have a 3PL holding your inventory. So next day, if you need to send more inventory, you can do that. So that's the first thing. A couple of things I wanted to mention, which I think I mentioned on the last episode, but I want to remind you again, specifically for those in the US. Amazon Vine is still 50% off. So there is a discount if you use Amazon Vine. So this ends on the 31st of October. The reason why I want to mention this today is because by next session, which is next week, that promotion is going to go off. So make sure you use as many of your pros are enrolled in Amazon Vine, so you get the best out of it, and you get as many reviews as possible. Other than that, nothing super new in the Amazon space in terms of things that I should be notifying at least from this week. I'm gonna make sure if I find something for the next week that has to do with more news and things to keep you informed, to bring it as I try to do every single session. Now, let's start jumping to the questions, because to be honest, we have a lot of questions from the last weeks that I haven't been able to always go live due to being in conferences, being around, getting ready for Q4 and all of that. So I want to make sure this session we cover as many questions as possible to cover all your inquiries. So guys, I'm going to start jumping all these questions into the screen, and let's get started, okay? First question, how do I make sure to have different images per marketplace? So for this one, there's a specific link for that. I'm going to make sure to leave it down in the description. You can reach out to me and I can give you this link. But there is a section now that Amazon allow you to upload basically different images per marketplace, right? This basically means within, let's say you're saying Europe, you can have images for Germany, Spain, UK, you name it. You just have to upload the images for different marketplaces, which you weren't able to do before. So there's a specific section within Seller Central. We usually use the link to go straight to that, and I can share that link. And basically within there, you're going to be able to basically refer that link to the marketplace you want to upload the images, and you just upload the image for a specific marketplace, and then those images should start uploading for that specific marketplace. So that's usually the easiest way to make sure you have the different images attributed independent of the marketplace, okay? Next question. Have you briefly explained how to do keyword research? Yeah. So keyword research, and we have actually multiple videos in YouTube if you want to check them out. But just to give you an overview of this, in terms of keyword research, the number one thing you want to do first, try to identify which one's your main keyword. And the best way to do that is try to look at the pros that are similar to yours. Try to see which keywords they're using in the title, because usually the sellers that know what they're doing in Amazon, they're going to have this keyword and phrase at the beginning of the title, because usually attribution and importance go from left to right. So the beginning phrase and keywords, usually that's the one that's going to give the biggest, first of all, ranking power, organic power to these listings, and that's why they put it there. So first, analyze your competition. If you can't find it that way, because maybe there's different ways to call this number, do a cerebral, what we call usually from Helium 10 backend keyword analyzer. And this is what it's going to allow you to do. Usually you can select up to the top 10 competitors, and within this you can find which are the keywords that is consistent across the board in terms of which one is always present in at least 40-50% of the products. You can do that with a filter called advanced filter within Helium 10, and that is going to allow you to make sure you find the keyword that is most consistent across your competition, and at the same time has a respectable search volume. So once you find that specific main keyword, then what you want to do is you want to proceed and do the full like keyword research of all the products that rank you on that main keyword, because that's the keyword that is the most relevant for your product and the one that has the biggest search volume. Usually the products ranking on this keyword are the ones making the most amount of sales. Usually just by being the one that's making the most amount of sales among these keywords, among this main keyword, that's going to allow you to also find the products that have the most amount of data, because most likely if they're making that amount of sales, those sales are not always coming just for a single keyword. They're coming from multiple keywords, and if they're able to maintain such a high amount of sales, most likely they're targeting specific long-tail keywords, specific what we call outlier keywords, which are keywords that are very broad. So you're gonna find all these keywords. So the best way to do that is, once you identify that main keyword, let's say the main keyword is water bottle, to make it simple, you want to then go and select the top. So we have two approaches, right? You can do the Helium 10 approach, which is the one we use a lot, and then you select the top 10 competitors, and then once you select the top 10 competitors, based on search volume, revenue volume, you want to reverse acing those and find what are the keywords that are on at least 60% of those products and have a respectable search volume. And these keywords are where all these products are repeated on page one. If they're on page one and these keywords are consistent across all the keywords, that means these are the keywords most likely bringing the sales from them. So usually that's the first one. The only bad thing is that here you can analyze just 10 products at the same time. If you want to go even more broad, you can combine it with a tool such as GETIDA that we use a lot and we also recommend. And basically you can analyze up to 25 products. And it's the same thing. You analyze up to 25 products. You try to find keywords that are relevant and consistent across these 25 products and also have a respectable search volume. And once you have this very clean list, which even if you're using all these filters that I'm mentioning here in a high level, you also need to go in depth on this list and make sure you remove all the keywords that sometimes don't make sense. Because, for example, if you're looking at a keyword such as water bottle, it's most likely that you're going to end up with keywords related to specific materials, specific colors, specific shapes, specific sizes, that maybe those sizes, colors, shapes, and all of that don't reflect your specific variation. So you're going to remove those variations that don't reflect your variation and just stick with the keywords that reflect your variation and the generic ones that your variation may actually be sold on that one as well. So once you have those keywords, then that's usually the main keyword research you should be doing. Then if you want to go even more in depth in terms of keyword research, you can also do a keyword research outside of Amazon. For example, this one, for example, with Data Dive, that's usually gonna be included because if I'm not mistaken, they also analyze Google Trends, and that actually also take in consideration data from Google. But if you're gonna do it on your own, usually we also use a Google a keyword planner, and that can actually also allow you to do even more digging in terms of specific phrases that specific communities audiences are using. However, I try to stay very strict with the data that we use, mainly only coming from Amazon and software providers that work directly with Amazon. In this case, Helium 10, Data Dive. And if I need to choose one, a third one, I will actually use Brand Analytics. We use Brand Analytics a lot for keyword research. And I think with those three, you should be more than well off. Brand analytics is a very good source because it's actually data coming directly from Amazon compared to the software solution I already mentioned. So with brand analytics, what you can do basically is first of all analyze what are the keywords that have been searched the most on your specific market. Then if you already have some data in your account, you could even find the keywords that bring the most traffic to your brand. Now you can even filter at the ASIN level. So usually by combining brand analytics and third-party software tools, that's usually the best one to come up with this list I already mentioned. Which actually in those videos I mentioned at the beginning of this explanation on YouTube, if you find it, which explain how to do your research. I explain all of this, but in depth. Here I'm giving more high level, so it doesn't get too technical. Okay. So thank you for that question. Let's see the next one. Which percentage of sales should be coming from Amazon PPC? So for Amazon PPC on a very healthy brand, usually the average, like the percentage ratio you should be getting from PPC compared to organic is usually you want to end up with around 60% coming from organic and 40% from PPC. Nowadays, you actually see the other way around, more sales come from PPC than organic, and that's normal on specific categories that the amount of placements Amazon is putting in terms of advertising is completely saturating the first page. So it's reaching a point that in some categories, like for example supplements, some of the keywords, if you go to, for example, to vitamin C, you're gonna see that almost 60, even sometimes 70% of the page is advertising between sponsor products, sponsor displays, sponsor brands. Uh, so it's getting complicated on some of these categories, and sometimes some of them you need PPC to be higher than organic. Because an example, the supplement, maybe PPC is higher than organic sales, but then you are relying on the long-term effect of that client that came through PPC, but then it's going to come back to you without you having to spend more on advertising, right? So these are the things you need to take in consideration. But yes, on a broad, like high level healthy brand, usually it should be 60 organic, 40% PPC, sometimes even 70% organic, 30% PPC. But again, in some categories nowadays, that's really not realistic. So take those things into consideration. Okay. Good. Do you recommend using Amazon Post? Yeah, Amazon Post is actually very good, specifically just for the USA now. Amazon Post is like a trial by Amazon to try to dig into the social media space. And Amazon Post, what it's going to allow you to do is just basically have your profile as a brand. People can follow you. And as people start following, then every single time you put a post, they basically can see the post, they can get notified. And in Amazon Post, what we try to use here is UCG content, which is user generated content. The way we find these contents is through different third-party software, which there are many other you can use for UCG. And basically what we try to do with Amazon Post, try to keep it as real as possible, trying to avoid picture from canvas and all of that, because it looks, it doesn't really reflect and connect with the person. We try to use images of real people using the product, selfies, things like that. And if you keep it consistent, it means it's free traffic. Right now it's free Amazon Post, so every single person that's in the Amazon Post basically scrolling, they can see your post, and those actually then link back to your product details pages, and that's free traffic. And then those posts even stay on your product details page, so that's extra content that if it's good content, it can help with conversions on the traffic that came to the traditional organic or PPC route. Okay. Do you recommend having multiple automatic campaigns? Yes, actually, most of the time when you want to launch an automatic campaign, you want to divide the different type of automatic, which you have loose, a complement, a close match, all those 4 type of automatic campaigns. You want to have one type of automatic targeting per campaign. You don't want to have the 4 in the same one, because then first of all it's going to create overlap. Sometimes when you start having, like, you need to start doing negative targeting and things like that in terms of bid optimization at the targeting level. So I would advise have one per automatic campaign that's going to give you better control at the budget level, at the bid level, and at the negative targeting. And also it's easier just to turn off and off a specific one at the campaign level, right? To have to go inside all these campaigns and sometimes have all the data from these 4 type of automated targeting campaign combined into the same reports, which can be messy sometimes. Okay. Good. Next question. Can I use Amazon Live? Yes, Amazon Live, similar to Amazon Post, is just in the Amazon USA. Amazon Post, actually, I did a presentation last week in AmaFest UK here in Brighton, and we've been using Amazon Live for clients, and it's been getting amazing results. I mean, the CPCs are super low. We're talking on average around the 30-40 cents per click compared to PPC that is already on the dollar mark. And Amazon Live, I think at the beginning is going to be slow. As anything, you need to put a lot of work, especially if you want to do it in house, because you want to build your VAs or ambassadors to go live every single day. But once you get the ball rolling, you start building that following, you start building that authority within your market. Is huge, especially because these lives appear in multiple placement. Like once you reach the maximum level, which is the A-list level, you start putting even the Amazon homepage, you start putting in your product details page, in competitor product detail page, in at the category level. So it's super powerful to bring free traffic, because Amazon Live is also free. The cost you're gonna have of course is the equipment to go live, the cameras, all of that. Or for example, if you're gonna hire somebody to do the lives on a daily basis, like an ambassador, yes, that's an expense for sure. But the actual platform itself is free. So 100% recommended. And if you don't want to go through the hustle of doing creating your profile and everything, because creating a following sometimes can be slower compared to the time that you don't have to start getting those sales to create the momentum of your business, you can even use influencers straight away. These influencers have already thousands of followers on Amazon Live. They mention your product to a warm audience, people that already trust what they're saying, and this is traffic that have a very high intent to make purchases based on what these influencers say. The only downside is sometimes much more expensive. We are talking around $500 enough for the good influencers to do a 10-minute, 20-minute representation of your product. So it can be more costly if you want to make it repetitive throughout the week, or I don't have it this in house. But amazing method, if you definitely have the extra budget to do it, because usually Amazon Live and Amazon Post, all of this is something you want to start digging into once you have at least a basic and a functional structure on your PPC level, right? It's not going to replace your PPC. It's actually there to support and help you bring those extra sales at a cheaper cost per click, and at the same time try to create that snowball effect of sales to improve your organic ranking and overall improve your tag costs and your overall performance of the business. So I will say first focus on Amazon PPC to have something stable there. You have just some residual budget to use. I will definitely start exploring Amazon Live, Amazon Post, and then even things outside of Amazon like influencer marketing. Okay. Awesome. Next question. Should I move campaigns from automatic to manual? Yes. I guess you're referring to keywords, and yes, usually what you want to do with keywords is, if you identify a keyword within an automatic campaign that's performing very well, it has a good CPC, ACOS, conversion rate, all of that. What you want to do is you want to move into a manual campaign. Most of the time, we move into an exact match campaign if it's an keyword, or pro targeting campaign if it's amazing, but we don't negate that with an automatic. We just try to start the bid on these new campaigns with a higher bid to ensure we give authority and priority to these new campaigns. However, we don't want to negate it on the old campaigns, because sometimes we have found that moving the keywords and ASINs and all of that to new campaigns, even if they have been validated to bring sales and traffic to us, whenever we do the jump, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. We try to change the bids and all of that, it doesn't. And when we go back to the old campaigns, it keeps performing better automatic targeting. So that's why you don't want to negate it, because if you see that by scaling the budget and bids, maybe it becomes a bad keyword after doing the jump, you want to go back to your automatic campaigns, and you want to have the option to go back and try to replicate what you were achieving before doing the change. Okay. Next question. How to know the amount of organic and PPC sales? So right now is very easy ways to do this. I mean, you can use, for example, Helium 10, they have the tool Profits, highlights which sales are coming from PPC, which are coming organic. If you're not doing manually, very simple as well. What you want to basically do is get your report of sales, get the total amount of sales for a month, remove from that amount of sales basically the sales that came to PPC. And that's his. The thing is, most of the time, if you're doing manually, it's not going to be 100% accurate, because on that total amount of sales, there are things not being considered, like the returns or refunds and things like that. But it's going to be maybe I would say 90% accurate if you do it this way. But still, it's a good representation for you to understand how many cells are coming organic, how many cells are coming from PPC cells, and then make sure the ratio we've been discussing is there. I mean, if you're having 90% PPC cells, there's definitely something that needs to be fixed there, because 90% PPC is fine maybe the first month or so, but within 3 to 6 months, you already want to start dealing down the PPC down to 70-60% of the cells. Uh, Once you start reaching the 50-50 level, which is difficult to reach, but usually within 6 months to a year, you can definitely reach if you have a good product. That's when you start seeing the tag cost decreasing massively and getting bigger profit margins. Next question. I'm not indexing for any keyword. Why? So the reason why you might be not indexing for any keyword, most likely because it's a category issue. So make sure you have a category actually assigned. Sometimes if you don't have in a BSR, that means you don't have even a category assigned to the product. Make sure that's done first. The second thing you also want to do when you are not indexing, make sure you have the keywords on your listing, in your title, bullet points, all of that. The third thing you want to make sure, if you're not indexing for as specific keyword, may actually make sure these are keywords that you can index for, right? And what I mean is not prohibited keywords and things like that. And sometimes if none of this work, the best way to fix this, which we have found solutions, is delete all the fields on your listings, save it, wait 24 hours, that gives like a reset to a listing, and then fill it again. If that doesn't work, then you might want to delete the listing, upload it again under the same ASIN and SKU. You're not gonna do reviews or anything. And that usually can allow you to reset. I mean, you might see an impact in ranking if you do these two methods, but if you're already not indexing for your main keywords and your sales are very bad, you're actually not risking anything, right? As long as you do the steps correctly, for sure. Good. Let's see which are question issues here. Okay, how should I do keyword isolation? So keyword isolation basically means when you do PPC, you want to make sure you segment your keywords on a strategic way, so you can have full control of them at the budget level, bid level optimization. Usually, when we create exact match campaign, for example, we try to keep maximum 2-3 keywords. Now we're actually going back to 1 keyword per campaign. That's gonna basically give you hundreds of campaigns if you have a lot of keyword. But we find that's the best way to segment in keywords, have better control and be able to turn it on and off based on performance. And also that's gonna make sure that you give enough budget space to each of them, because if you put a lot of keywords within the same campaign, one keyword that has the biggest pull towards the cost per click and the search volume is going to eat all the budget, and the other ones are not going to see a light in terms of getting impressions. So segmented into the own campaigns, and that should allow you to basically reach this keyword isolation, which you hear a lot of people saying, which is basically isolating keywords on their own campaign. Usually, if you don't have more than 1 keyword per campaign, you can also do that, but try to avoid having multiple keywords at a very high search volume within the same one, which is also come back to keyword isolation. If you're gonna have maybe 5 keywords more in a keyword, make sure these are keywords that may have a 300-500 max search volume. I will never advise to do this with keywords that have more than 1,000 search volume. Maximum you're gonna have 1 keyword per campaign if you're talking around those levels of search volume. Okay. Good. Let's see which other question do we have in here. Let's see. Okay, this one is the next one. Do you use any PPC tools? I mean, when it comes to PPCs, we try always to do a hybrid approach, combine software and human interaction, because we strongly believe there's always needs to be some kind of supervision from the human part. I mean, PPC tools, for example, can be very useful if you use them, for example, creating multiple campaigns at once, be able to have a high level understanding of, for example, what is going on in terms of performance, more like a display dashboard, for example, we use Atomic for that from Human Time. Then you can also put, for example, specific rules that can be to help you optimize 24/7, especially during the night where maybe you don't have a person in front of a screen that can look into that. But when it comes to the strategy level, deciding what kind of keywords we put in a campaign, the amount of bid we put to a keyword, and all that is done manually, and we always make sure that anything that's done by, for example, in this case, Atomic, is supervised by a person. But Atomic is just one of them. There's also Perpetual, which is an amazing tool. There are many out there as well. They're great. Just a matter of testing, but we'll never say go 100% just software. Always have the hardware approach, which is using PPC software tools to ease your time, make them more admin stuff, but the strategy thing and supervising the campaign should always also be done by a person, not leave them basically on control, under software control 24/7. Okay. Awesome. Great. So I think that will be everything for today. So thank you very much for everybody that has joined today. Remember, the purpose of this call is to answer any of the questions you may have. So don't feel free that any question might be too basic or too stupid. I mean, we cover sometimes from how to open an Amazon account all the way to things like a PPC strategy and then much more high level things. So there isn't a limit for anything. That's the purpose of this, to give you a free space for you to, feel in confidence to ask anything. And that's why I keep all the questions also anonymous, so you can feel free to ask anything. Great. So thank you very much. Also feel free to see the last episode we dropped into our channel. We just dropped an episode yesterday, right? And the episode was with 𝐃𝐎𝐍'𝐿, and we talked everything about branding. Amazing. All the tips she gave us. I mean, she has amazing experience. She has worked with brands such as Ted Baker. She has so much experience in the branding space, and I think branding is super key nowadays to succeed on Amazon. Differentiate yourself from the rest. So check that episode and leave in the comments what you think, questions, anything. We're more than happy to answer that. So thank you very much for everybody to join us today. I wish you an amazing rest of the week. Take care and be safe. Bye bye. See ya.